Ukraine is the second largest country in Europe. It borders Russia to the east, northeast, and south. In 2013, the government of Ukraine was led by the President Viktor, who suspended preparations for the implementation of an association agreement with the European Union, which known as the Euro Mainland. Following his ousting, the unrest developed the largest Russophone eastern and southern regions of Ukraine, from where he had drawn most of his support. Ensuring political crisis in Ukrainian autonomous region of Crimea resulted in the annexation of Crimea by Russia on 18 March.
Subsequently, the east part of Ukraine is involved into a war between the post-revolutionary Ukrainian government and pro-Russian insurgents. First of all, we can see that one of the most influenced events of this issue was the public voting that held by Crimea last year, and the result of the public voting was to join Russian Federation. But the international society doesn't agree and satisfied with the result and asks Russia to stop the military attack to Ukraine that Russia is always denied to do so. And recently, Russia, Ukraine, Germany, and France, these four European countries, just signed a ceasefire agreement on the Ukraine crisis, and the war happened in the eastern part of the Ukraine.
And now we're going to introduce two major personalities involved in this conflict. One is the President Putin. He believes that what EU and America did is wrong. He believes that it's not Russia who wants to go back to Cold War, but America. It's America that has so many military bases overseas, but not Russia. Another interesting personality involved in this conflict is the President Obama. President Obama stressed that what Russia is doing is actually invading another country, and Russia's act is actually immoral.
The global issues that can be linked together are the human rights of the civilians in Ukraine and Russia, and many other issues. The war caused most of the citizens in Ukraine lost their house and became refugees. The United Nations has already supported them by sending the doctors and provided food and shelters for them. Also, the international safety is also a big deal, because the conflict between Ukraine and Russia caused other countries, especially the EU countries and NATO countries involved in, and this extremely influenced the safety of the international society.
More importantly, this conflict is mainly caused by the sovereignty problems. The Ukraine government, even the international society, consider that Russia violates the sovereignty of Ukraine, and the domain of Ukraine has been ruined. So we need to have a clear mind of this issue.
Now let's move on to the introduction of countries' factions participating in the conflict. First, let's see Ukraine. The conflict happened all around the Ukraine and claimed millions of civilians and soldiers' lives. Until October 29, 2014, in eastern Ukraine, including Malaysia Airlines flight MH17 and its 298 passengers, at least 4,035 people have been killed and 9,036 are wounded. Ukraine government strongly condemned the civil war and the crisis made in Ukraine by pro-Russian insurgents, and declared that Ukraine government would not give up. At the same time, the economy of Ukraine was seriously damaged. Debt and equity were all affected. And one of the major organizations involved in this conflict is European Union. European Union stalled with the post-revolutionary Ukrainian government trying to make Ukraine part of the European Union. So in the conflict, EU gave lots of economic and political support to Ukraine to help the government quell the civil war and the pro-Russian insurgents. At the same time, EU also started a sanction to Russia, hoping that Russia will surrender because of the economic pressure caused by US and EU. So let's now take a look at Russia. Russia is one of the countries of the most related to the crisis. In other words, Russia actually supported this crisis behind. Due to the interest that Ukraine can bring to Russia and Ukraine's geographical location and greatest strategic importance of resources to Russia, Russia will not let EU take Ukraine under its system because that will deeply threaten or compromise Russia's interest. So Russia is trying to disintegrate Ukraine and nibble it. March 17, 2014, Crimea declared that Crimea officially became an independent country. The Crimea joined Russia Federation as an autonomous republic. And let's have a look at the possible peace solutions for this conflict. The leaders of involving countries should really talk on the table and do some peaceful negotiation. And those negotiations are expected to be the withdrawal of the heavy weapons, the creation of a demilitarized zone, and the future status of the Donbas area in Ukraine, which comprises Luhansk and Donetsk. The protection of the residents, including food, water, and basic sanitation, are also crucial.